A golden sunset spills across the rolling hills of Tuscany, bathing rows of vineyards in soft amber light. This is where Andrea Bocelli, the man whose voice can silence an arena, finds his peace. A home that echoes with music, faith, and family. A sanctuary where simplicity meets splendor. Today, we'll step inside his world, exploring the villa that holds his heart, the fortune his voice built, and the legacy he continues to write note by note. But before this villa became a sanctuary of music and family, there was a boy from Lajatico who turned blindness into brilliance. Andrea Bocelli's story begins in the quiet Tuscan village of Lajatico, Italy. Born on September 22, 1958, into a world that almost never welcomed him. Doctors had advised his mother to terminate the pregnancy, fearing the baby would be born with severe disabilities, but she refused. Decades later, Bocelli would often say, "The world nearly lost one of its greatest voices before I was even born." From his earliest days, music became his language. Diagnosed with congenital glaucoma, Andrea was visually impaired from birth and completely lost his sight after a football accident at age 12. Yet where most would see darkness, he discovered sound, not as background noise but as color, texture, and emotion. The piano, the flute, and the tenor lines of Puccini became his palette. His mother recalled that as a boy, he sang before he could speak properly. In his teens, Andrea pursued academics with the same discipline he later brought to the stage. He studied law at the University of Pisa, graduating with honors. By day, he argued cases in lecture halls. By night, he played piano in smoky bars to pay his way through school. It was there, under dim lights and clinking glasses, that he met his first wife, Enrica Cenzati, who said she fell in love before he even opened his eyes. The turning point came in 1992. Italian rock star Zucchero Fornaciari was recording a demo of a song called Miserere, originally written for Luciano Pavarotti. Bocelli's demo performance impressed Pavarotti so deeply that the maestro himself urged Zucchero to give Andrea a chance. That single recording changed everything. Suddenly, the blind law graduate from Tuscany was sharing stages with legends. 4 years later, Bocelli's duet with Sarah Brightman, Time to Say Goodbye, Con te partirò, became a global phenomenon. 12 million copies sold, 6 times platinum, and the soundtrack to countless weddings, finales, and moments of farewell. The world didn't just hear his voice, it felt his sincerity. For Americans, it was the moment the Italian tenor next door became a household name. By 1997, PBS broadcast his first U.S. concert special, Romanza, filmed in Tuscany. Overnight, he became the face and voice of modern classical crossover. President Bill Clinton personally invited him to perform at the White House. By the 2000s, Bocelli was no longer just a singer, he was a cultural ambassador for Italy itself. He sang at the 2006 Turin Olympics, the 2002 FIFA World Cup, and received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star in 2010. Yet for all the grandeur, Bocelli's artistry remained grounded in humility. "I do not sing to be famous," he once said. "I sing because it is the language of my soul." Even as musical trends shifted, Bocelli's voice remained timeless, evolving, never fading. In 2017, he joined Ed Sheeran for Perfect Symphony, a bilingual version of Sheeran's hit that bridged generations and languages, introducing Bocelli to millions of younger fans. Then, in the darkest days of 2020, when the world fell silent under lockdown, he stood alone in Milan's empty Duomo Cathedral. His live-streamed concert, Music for Hope, reached over 28 million viewers, reminding the world that beauty can exist even in isolation. In 2024, standing alongside his son Matteo, he returned to the stage of the 96th Academy Awards for the In Memoriam performance, a moment that united legacy and lineage, voice and vision, father and son. Andrea Bocelli's journey is not just about music. It's about the triumph of spirit over circumstance. His blindness didn't limit him. It deepened his sensitivity, teaching him to see with the soul. And nowhere is that soul more alive or more beautifully echoed than in his beloved Tuscan home. Tuscan Villa, where music meets Mediterranean grace. The 8,000-square-foot residence, once an aristocratic mansion from the late 19th century, feels like it was built not just to be seen, but to be heard. Every archway, every breeze through the olive trees seems to carry a note from one of his songs. Originally a noble family estate, the villa became a seaside hotel after World War II and remained so until the 1990s. Bocelli first visited the property by chance, long before he ever imagined owning it. But when he returned decades later, standing at its gates under the Tuscan sun, he said he felt the kind of harmony you can't explain, only recognize. In 2018, he and his wife, Veronica Berti, purchased the villa, transforming it from a grand echo of history into a living, breathing home. Working with his brother Alberto Bocelli, an architect, the tenor oversaw an extensive renovation that respected the home's spirit while subtly modernizing it. Together, they replaced old wooden shutters with elegant glass windows to let in more natural light, restored the original marble floors, and updated the heating and electrical systems, all without losing the home's old-world warmth. Bocelli's guiding principle was simple. Luxury isn't about excess. It's about light, peace, and family. Inside, the villa feels more like a private retreat than a showpiece. The living room opens with arched French doors framing the sea, sunlight dancing across polished piano keys. The centerpiece, of course, is a black Steinway grand piano, the same one on which Bocelli often practices before tours. The dining room tells another story. A long wooden table that has seen countless family gatherings, Sunday lunches, and late-night laughter. Above it hangs a chandelier that once belonged to the villa's original owners, lovingly restored by Veronica herself. Upstairs, the master bedroom overlooks the coast, its balcony wrapped in wrought iron and wisteria vines. On clear mornings, you can see the islands of Elba and Corsica shimmering on the horizon. But perhaps the heart of the villa lies underground, in Bocelli's private recording studio. Built into the lower level, the soundproof room features acoustic panels, a control board, and vintage microphones. It's here, surrounded by stone walls and silence, that he practices before international tours or records new songs. Outside, the villa opens into 2 acres of gardens bursting with cypress trees, lavender, and lemon groves. There's a marble courtyard where the family hosts small concerts, a swimming pool reflecting the Tuscan sky, and a terrace where Andrea and Veronica share coffee every morning. There's no flashy modern art, no gold-plated extravagance, just the timeless simplicity of a family home where elegance whispers instead of shouts. For Bocelli, this villa isn't a symbol of fame. It's a celebration of life, music, and belonging. But when the Maestro isn't composing from his terrace, he's out enjoying another form of Italian art, horsepower and heritage, cars. Andrea Bocelli may not take the driver's seat himself, but his love for cars is as refined and soulful as his approach to music, rooted in craftsmanship, emotion, and timeless Italian style. His garage tells a story of passion and precision, where every vehicle hums its own melody. At one end sits the Fiat 500 e la Prima, Italy's modern answer to sustainable mobility. Compact, fully electric, and effortlessly chic, it's the kind of car that turns heads not with horsepower, but with charm. It's valued around $35,000, a nod to Bocelli's environmental sensibility and his love for simple, elegant design. Then there's the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a limousine worthy of the world's most celebrated tenor. This car doesn't just move, it glides, so quiet and smooth it could double as a concert hall on wheels. Equipped with massaging leather seats and a Burmester 4D surround sound system, it delivers an experience that feels more like conducting a private orchestra than taking a drive. Price tag, around $120,000, but the comfort? Absolutely priceless. For family adventures across Tuscany, Bocelli turns to the Mercedes GLS class, a luxury SUV big enough for his wife Veronica and their 3 children, yet refined enough for the Italian countryside. It's the car of choice for Sunday picnics, vineyard visits, and those sunlit coastal drives that end in spontaneous songs. And then there's the jewel of the collection, the Lamborghini Huracan. With 602 horsepower under the hood, this machine doesn't just accelerate, it sings. The engine's growl is pure opera, thunderous, thrilling, unapologetically Italian. It's as bold as Bocelli's stage presence and as passionate as a Puccini aria. You don't just drive a Lamborghini, as one fan put it, you conduct it. And just like his voice, his garage is a harmony. Classic, modern, and unmistakably Italian. Income and net worth. Few voices in history have turned emotion into enterprise quite like Andrea Bocelli's. With an estimated net worth exceeding $100 million, the Italian tenor has transformed his art into a global brand, one built not on spectacle, but on sincerity. At the heart of Bocelli's wealth lies his concerts and world tours, which consistently sell out across continents. From New York's Madison Square Garden to Sydney's Opera House, his performances are not just events. They're pilgrimages for fans who crave a voice that can hush a crowd of 50,000 into silence. Each tour generates an estimated $20 to $30 million per year, bolstered by VIP experiences, live recordings, and high-end collaborations with symphony orchestras. Then there are the albums and streaming revenues, which form the backbone of his musical empire. Over 90 million records sold worldwide, 15-plus studio albums, and an enduring digital presence that bridges generations. His Romanza and Sacred Arias albums remain among the best-selling classical recordings of all time. On YouTube, Bocelli boasts nearly 7 million subscribers, while Spotify crowns him as one of the most streamed classical voices on Earth. In an era where music is often disposable, his songs continue to accumulate billions of plays, not through algorithms, but through emotional permanence. Beyond the music, Bocelli's refined image has attracted a long list of brand partnerships that perfectly align with his sophistication. He's collaborated with Fiat, lending his voice to campaigns celebrating Italian innovation, Bulgari representing timeless craftsmanship, Samsung promoting global connection, and Gerard Perregaux embodying the harmony between art and engineering. These endorsements have brought in an estimated $5 to $10 million, proving that authenticity is the most valuable currency of all. But perhaps his most personal investment is one that quite literally grows from his roots: Bocelli Family Wines. Produced from the vineyards surrounding his childhood home in Lajatico, the family's wines combine traditional methods with modern finesse. The collection, from Chianti to Pinot Grigio, now exports to the US, Europe, and Asia, bringing in $3 to $7 million annually. For Bocelli, winemaking isn't just business. It's heritage bottled and shared with the world. And while his financial empire could easily make him one of Italy's most powerful celebrities, Bocelli prefers a simpler description. I am a singer who loves his family, his faith, and his land. For him, fortune is merely a tool, one he uses not to build higher walls, but to open wider doors. Philanthropy. In 2011, he founded the Andrea Bocelli Foundation, ABF, with a clear mission: to empower people and communities in need, using education, healthcare, and opportunity as instruments of hope. The foundation's work began in Haiti, where Bocelli saw firsthand the devastation left by poverty and natural disasters. What started as small-scale aid soon became a nationwide movement for change. The ABF built schools, hospitals, and vocational centers, giving children and families a future beyond survival. Today, the foundation has helped educate more than 20,000 students and provided over 500,000 medical services to those in need, from emergency healthcare to long-term rehabilitation. But Haiti was just the overture. When a series of earthquakes struck central Italy between 2016 and 2017, Bocelli returned home not as a celebrity, but as a neighbor. Through the ABF, he helped rebuild schools and community centers across the affected regions, ensuring that even in the ruins, there would be laughter, learning, and life once again. "We can't erase pain," he said, "but we can sing new beginnings into existence." Education remains the cornerstone of the Foundation's philosophy. Partnering with local and international NGOs, the ABF supports projects that train teachers, provide technology access, and create inclusive learning environments for children with disabilities. One flagship program, Voices of Haiti, turns music into a tool of empowerment, teaching children to sing, perform, and dream beyond the boundaries of hardship. In addition to ABF, Bocelli has lent his time, money, and unmistakable voice to a host of global humanitarian causes. His partnerships include Celebrity Fight Night, the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center, FAO Telefood, Stand Up for a Cure, Pavarotti and Friends, and Music for Asia. Whether it's performing to raise funds for disaster relief or donating proceeds from his albums, Bocelli's approach remains consistent. Quiet action over loud praise. During the COVID-19 pandemic, his Music for Hope concert from the empty Duomo Cathedral in Milan became one of the most watched live-streamed performances in history, viewed by more than 28 million people worldwide. The event raised significant funds for hospitals and medical research, but more importantly, it brought comfort to millions in isolation. "Even when the world falls silent," he said, "music reminds us we're still connected." Bocelli's philanthropy extends beyond money. It's rooted in empathy and faith. A devout Catholic, he often speaks of charity as the most sacred expression of gratitude. His wife, Veronica Berti Bocelli, serves as the vice chair of ABF, leading its operations with the same compassion and precision that define their life together. As one journalist perfectly put it, he doesn't sing for applause, he sings for impact. And behind every note of compassion lies the rhythm of his personal life, a symphony of love, faith, and family. Personal life. He met his first wife, Enrica Cenzati, in the most unassuming of places, a piano bar in Pisa, where he played nightly while studying law. Enrica was captivated long before he sang to her, later saying, "His voice filled the room before I even knew who he was." The two married on June 27, 1992, and built a family grounded in simplicity despite his rising fame. Their first son, Amos, was born in 1995, followed by Matteo in 1997. Both boys inherited their father's deep musical sensitivity. Amos, now a pianist and sound engineer, often collaborates with his father on recordings, while Matteo has followed directly in his footsteps as a singer. The duet Fall on Me, 2018, became a heartfelt dialogue between generations, a father passing not just a voice, but a legacy. After a decade together, Andrea and Enrica separated in 2002, though they remained on good terms and continued to co-parent their sons with quiet grace. Around that same time, fate composed a new verse in his life, when Bocelli met Veronica Berti, a young Italian woman who would later become both his manager and life partner. Their connection was immediate yet gentle, built not on glamour, but on shared purpose and mutual respect. The couple welcomed their daughter Virginia in 2012, a moment Bocelli describes as one of God's most perfect gifts. They later married on March 21, 2014, at the Sanctuary of Montenero in Livorno, the same date that marks both their daughter's birthday and the beginning of spring. The ceremony, attended only by close family and friends, reflected everything the Maestro values most: intimacy, beauty, and devotion. Faith, however, remains the cornerstone of Bocelli's life. A devoted Catholic, he attends Mass regularly and often attributes his success to divine guidance rather than talent. "I'm just a messenger," he once told CNN. "The gift belongs to God." His beliefs also shape his humility. Despite his global fame, he leads a quiet life, surrounded by family, animals, and the rolling hills of Tuscany. And when he isn't performing, you'll likely find him following Inter Milan, his beloved football team. "I've loved Inter since university," he once laughed, "probably because they were winning everything, and I needed someone to root for besides Puccini." From the sunlit hills of Tuscany to the grandest stages on earth, Andrea Bocelli's journey is a song of faith, family, and beauty that never fades. His voice has become more than music. It's a bridge between worlds, reminding us that light can bloom even in silence. If this story moved you as much as his melodies do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Join us as we continue exploring the homes, hearts, and legacies of the world's most extraordinary lives, one story, one voice at a time. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.